Hey, welcome back to day 38 or 39 of Project Me. Got a few things just want to reflect on that's happened yesterday and today. So let's quickly get into those and hopefully wrap this video up before it gets quite long. First of all, I'm sick again. I'm putting myself under so much pressure for school, so got a second stress cold that's rolled in nearly immediately after the first. Thankfully, it's come at a sort of in-between period before I have to go back and participate in the finals of that mooting competition that I mentioned in the last video. So yeah, I got into the finals. Great. Woo! So very grateful for that, for one. Oh, yeah, let's do gratefulness real quick. So that's number one. Number two is, mum and dad. They are visiting this weekend and really grateful that they've decided to come and visit. This will probably be the only time, or the only point, really, up until next, maybe April, that I'll get to spend a prolonged period of more than a day with them. More than a few hours, really, if at all. So I'm glad they've made the time to come down and see me. So that'll be great. Really looking forward to that. And thirdly, I am grateful to my little brother. I don't speak to him that often. He's very much a reflection of me. I might be a little bit more outgoing than he is, or at least better able to put on the mask and be outgoing. But you know, it's really nice when we have a chat because in so many ways it feels like I'm speaking to myself sometimes, which, for me at least, all I really want is to be understood, and my little brother might be, at this point in time, quite possibly the only person who can sort of bridge that gap, at least the closest person, you know? So it's nice, you know? But anyways, let's get into the juicy stuff. So I'll save the juicy stuff for last, but the other thing is, I've been rereading Donna Tartt's The Secret History. It's, in case you're not familiar, it is the book that sort of popularized the dark academia sort of genre. And so rereading that, and it's been quite a long time since I've read it, a few years. But it's actually, she's a brilliant writer, and this is a testament to her brilliant writing. She's made me quite uncomfortable with it. I'm about 30 pages in. But I feel really uncomfortable, and I think part of the reason for that is because I recently read Crime and Punishment, and by recently I mean, like, I started 6 months ago and really only finished several weeks ago. But yeah, Crime and Punishment, I don't know if anyone's read that, but it's a book essentially about a murder by the main character called Raskolnikov. And Secret History is also about a murder, or rather two, as far as I'm aware. But the reason I'm uncomfortable is, well, they both center on that premise of a murder. And in Crime and Punishment, I suppose, like every foolish and arrogant young man, I see a lot of parallels between myself and Raskolnikov. So that was unsettling to begin with. But then thrust it into this new situation with Donna Tartt and her book. It's almost like it's not a mirror by any means, but it's uncomfortable. It's like looking at a warped mirror in a way. You know, it's things I would never dream of doing, but yet seem familiar. I'm not saying I would murder anyone at all, but it's the crossing the boundary, you know, crossing the line into something that might be unethical or immoral. I don't know how to really explain it. I feel really uncomfortable with that, and just another reason why I think I'm so uncomfortable is when I read, I very much read in the sense of putting myself in the narrator's shoes or a character's shoes. So I feel like I'm living their life when I read, which can be really cool because I think George R. Martin said it best. You know, I can't remember his exact quote verbatim, but it was something along the lines of, "I love to read because I live 1,000 lives when I read." You know, something like that. And I find the very same thing to be true for me. I love reading because it's a chance to experience a completely different side of life when you read. Um, so, so yeah, but so putting myself in that situation of an uncomfortable topic and living through that in a way is quite uncomfortable for me. So anyways, I'm not quite sure how I feel, but I know I feel uncomfortable. So anyways, just wanted to talk about that for a second, and moving on to the juicy stuff, I suppose. In the past, in some of these videos, I've alluded to a girl in my friend group who I don't even know how to articulate it. We've had history, nothing either serious or official, and even then that sounds like the connotation there is it sounds like something actually happened. Nothing happened. I don't want to go through the whole thing. So that's all you really need to know. We had a party yesterday that I went to. It was a friend's birthday. I showed up, was talking to one of our mutual friends by the door, and she goes to leave, and she hugs the mutual friend and just walks by me. And there are a few reasons for that. I don't think I've wronged her, but we haven't really been on talking terms for 10 months maybe. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting anything really, but it did make me again uncomfortable in that I would have hoped we could at least, I don't know, have meet each other's eyes and say hello and then goodbye, and that would be it, you know. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think I'll always be partial to it to some extent. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But I think I know now I can't act on it, and she won't act on it. So I don't want to be stuck in this awkward kind of phase thing, although it's lasted for so long. It's not really a phase, it's reality at the moment. But I also am really hesitant to go out and do something about it because I don't know, I feel foolish about reaching out to some extent, but I keep having these thoughts, you know. It's better to walk the wrong path on my terms than it is to walk the right path on someone else's terms. That's one. Two, excuse me, if I knew, no, I'll rephrase that, if there was one thing standing between me and peace, I'm very hesitant to use the word happiness. I think I'm scared of happiness. It's a long metaphor. If there's one thing standing between me and peace, and I knew I couldn't fail, then what is it and how would I address it? You know, and I think I've asked myself that question today, and I think it is sending her a message and just going, hey, can we catch up for a brief coffee and closure, ideally, or at least an understanding of sorts between us. So I'm really struggling with it. I don't know whether to send that message or not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna try calling a friend later and asking for an objective opinion as well. She knows both of us, so hopefully she can give an objective opinion before I do. Yeah, I really don't know what to do. I feel I want to do it. I really do. I'm just worried it might be for the wrong reasons of wanting to do it. But it's a weird thing because I want to do it for the right reasons, but there's also wrong reasons that are sort of incentivizing for it to happen. And so for that reason, I know I can't be objective about it. So I'm also procrastinating the decision because I want to be objective about it. But because there are factors that I notice are clouding my vision, it's hard for me to make that decision. Because I know it might not be the right decision because it's not objective. So it's quite tricky in my mind. So I'm going to call someone, ask for their opinion. Thoughts would be great as well. But I suppose the last thing I really wanted to say was I wouldn't be so hesitant about sending this message if it weren't for the fact that I know she might just ignore me, which is completely understandable. I can't fault her for it. It just feels like, okay, I would normally never think twice about this. Like second texting, for example, you send one message and then sending a second message right after. It looks bad, so to speak. Absolutely true. In this case, for example, it was her birthday a few weeks ago, and I don't think I'm a dick, so I sent her a brief birthday message, just saying, happy birthday, hope you're well, and that was it. Pretty much the extent of it. This was on Instagram because she was overseas, and she didn't respond, but also we had unfollowed each other last year, so this could have just gone into her requests mailbox or whatever, and she didn't see it. So I'm choosing to believe she didn't see it. But now also sending this message feels like it's a double text in a way, and so it feels like I'm putting too much of an onus, or is it an onus, a burden on myself, so to speak. So yeah, but like I said, I want to send a message, but I'm not sure it's for the right reasons, and so for that reason, I'm putting it off a bit because I don't know if I'm being objective. Anyways, that is my current struggle. I take comfort in the fact that I know I'm trying to be objective about this. I don't want to do something if it might be the wrong thing to do. But at the same time, I want to do it because it might just give me the very thing that I want to begin with. Which rationally is closure, and irrationally is like, maybe she'll like me back. So it's ridiculous. And I'm trying not to put those words out there. My priority would be closure because I can just get on with my life. Yeah. Anyways, that is where my mind's at. And no matter where you are in the world, I hope you have an absolutely fantastically wonderful day, or night, or evening, or morning, or noon, or mid-morning, or second breakfast, afternoon tea. I don't know what it might be. Take care, guys. Cheers.